Hello, I'm Jesús LAU, and I work for Universidad Veracruzana, Mexico. My talk today will be about honesty. The title of my presentation is Academic Integrity of Undergraduates CETYS University Case. In other words, about academic integrity. My aim is to share with you CETYS library experiences in regard to this subject. The topics that I'm going to cover are basically an introduction to the concept and to CETYS, followed by the main two themes, which is the survey, the outcomes, and the actions that CETYS has taken so far to take advantage of the results of this study, including the information literacy 8th grade course that CETYS offers to every new student, and it's a compulsory one. According to the International Center for Academic Integrity, this is defined as a series of basic principles which are the foundation for success in any aspect of life and represent essential elements that allow achievement of the necessary learning which enable the future student to face and overcome any personal and professional challenges. And as you can see, at the core of this concept is the principle or the value of honesty, of academic honesty. CETYS University is the largest private university in Baja California. It has more than 8,000 students and is located just across California. And it's one of the 5 universities that is accredited in the United States and one of the 19 in Latin American countries. In other words, CETYS University is in search of excellence by pursuing this international accreditation. The second part of the talk is about the survey. The survey was led by Jason Stevens from New Zealand and included 5 private Mexican universities. The survey included an instrument of 95 questions that were grouped in 9 different behaviors that included student perceptions, beliefs, and behaviors related to academic motivation and integrity. Asking students how often their engagement was in this regard during the past year. The academic behaviors are not listed, all of them here, but I grouped them into these 4 major components. Is the school climate, the academic integrity policies of the institution, the peer norms, in other words, the values at the individual and group level, and the 4th one, the moral judgments, again, of students as individuals and students as part of a group during a class. The CETYS population that was surveyed included all undergraduate students, that is 2,500 cases, except those who were in the first undergraduate year that were not included. 376 students responded the questionnaire in full. 193 were men and 170 women, and 13 of them didn't define their gender. Gender and average behaviors. The majority of the sample were male, mostly in the 3rd and 4th year of study, and typically earning grades between 8 and 9. And according to Mexican education standards, 8 is good and 9 is very good. You know, it's equivalent of good and very good. The average number of cheating behaviors reported for all students was 243. Sorry, 3 in point 43. of the 9 surveyed components. Based on ANOVA test, differ significantly by gender, men and women, and typically earning grades between 7 and 8. This means that most students were engaged in some dishonesty behavior, and their grades were regular to good ones. Dishonesty engagement. The frequency of academic dishonesty was high, as reported in the previous slide. 14 or nearly 15% of them reported never of all 9 behaviors assessed in the study. In other words, most of them had engaged in some kind of dishonesty. 85% of all the students surveyed reporting engaging in at least one of the 9 types of academic dishonesty assessed in the EMIS study. And this is a high percentage, and I'll explain how high it is in relation to other studies. Although this is a high percentage of students, Stevens stated that it is approximately similar to studies results conducted in the United States and New Zealand. Academic integrity policies and the learning. Among the 7 different sources that were included in the study, students reported learning more during class discussion with their faculty than with other sources. The second sources were the student handbook and the syllabus, and the less popular was the website. The overall mean of this variable was not significantly associated with self-reported cheating. As a final remark, students learn more from their class, from their faculty than from other sources. Peer norms perception. Peer norm perception and the self-reported cheating reflected, on the other hand, the peer disapproval of cheating was relatively low. And this is quite worrying. Regardless of the extent to which students felt that their peers disapproved of cheating was negatively correlated with self-reported cheating behavior. In other words, the more students believe that their peers disapprove of cheating, the less likely they are to report doing so. In other words, group attitudes, group values do influence individual behavior. Peer cheating and judgment. The question, how often have you seen your peer cheating, showed that the more students reply seeing classmates cheat, the more likely they were to report doing so themselves. And while seeing other students cheat was fairly typical, seeing them get caught doing so was quite rare. In other words, there is an opportunity for faculty to supervise more their classes, their courses, to identify this kind of dishonesty. A student domain and responsibility judgment related to academic dishonesty and self-reported cheating show that the more students believe behaviors to be morally wrong, the less likely they were to report engaging in them. Again, the group values influences individual behavior. Here is a table that summarizes peer disapproval of cheating. If you see the different actions of dishonesty, 1 is copy, 2 is plagiarize part of a newspaper, 3, if it is okay to cheat on a test, and 4, seeing if I cheated on a test, how my friends would be disappointed on me, and 5, plagiarizing some sentences or paragraphs is not a big deal, And if I copy another student's work, my friends will get very angry with me. The replies or the answers were in general quite high. You can see that plagiarizing part of a newspaper had a high percentage of nearly 50%. And cheating on a test was close to 60. These values are quite high, and certainly there is an opportunity for faculty in CETYS institution to tackle this issue or problem. Section 3 of the presentation, national, international levels of academic dishonesty. CETYS academic integrity average indicators were certainly dismaying, they were worrying, but if we compare them to the results of other institutions, they were middle ground. They were not the worst and they are not the best either, especially if compared to the other 4 private universities that took part in Stephen's study that are not reported here in order to because of the space, in order to respect also the privacy of those universities. Certainly, the comparison with the other 4 universities is quite valid because the same instrument was used and the study was done at the same time. And CETYS outcome was more or less in the middle in terms of the outcomes of the study. Academic integrity at national and international trends. CETYS, as stated by Stevens, the results were worrying, but they are in line with other Mexican studies reported in the literature and that you can read in the full paper that was submitted to ECIL conference. But comparing to 2 studies, one that is a meta-analysis of students who perform, of students from the US, the outcomes of this meta-analysis is that undergraduate and graduate students levels of cheating is between 9 and 90%. Another meta-analysis that included or analyzed 107 studies from the United States and Canada that deal with academic integrity revealed that the mean prevalence of cheating in university settings was about 70% among all students surveyed. Again, the results, the levels are quite high. And during the current pandemic, it is believed or is assumed that academic dishonesty has increased, as it has increased in previous years according to the students. But during the pandemic, there are some indicators that this has grown dramatically. For example, a study that took an indicator, as indicator, the post of questions and answers across 5 analyzed subjects at the Czech website that you know is a website that offers answers to student questions and is related to cheating in the literature. There was a dramatic increase from 3 million questions posted during the years 2018 and 2019 jumped to more than 5 million ones during the year 2019 and 2020, showing an increase of 75% from one period to another. Okay, I have given you a brief description of the Stevens survey on CETYS students' academic dishonesty that in general were high, but the level of dishonesty seems to be in line with other international and national students, the national studies that I didn't mention during this presentation, but you can find out in the full paper. What are the actions that CETYS has taken? CETYS has taken a few actions. One of them was to convene an academic affairs focus group from the 3 campuses. And the focus group concluded that CETYS need to take greater action to modify the bylaws, to foster an honesty culture, and to provide more training to faculty. The participants believe that training should be mandatory for new faculty that is hired, and the regulations CETYS need to be revised and updated to tackle this challenge. And the final conclusion of this focus group is that CETYS lacks a clear action plan in this matter. The library, on the other hand, the library system has done an annual town hall since the study was conducted to discuss with faculty and students what are the actions that CETYS need to take. And the main purpose of these town halls is to raise awareness about academic honesty. As a result, there is a program of attention to academic integrity that includes contribution from the different academic and administrative support areas. Another action that is taken by the libraries is has created a draft of a new academic integrity policy that is under discussion in the different academic areas of the university. Finally, the information literacy course, that is a compulsory one, needs to undertake or to expand the information ethics component to foster honesty culture. And also, there is a need to explore evaluation of this student behavior during a student learning outcomes assessment. Conclusions. The Stephen study results are worrying. And these non-ethical behaviors were prevalent in most of the survey students in the 9 academic integrity components of the study. So most of them were engaged in academic dishonesty behavior. Something that should not be taken as a satisfactory conclusion, but it helps to understand the problem, is that there are similar trends at the international level. And not only at the international level, but within Mexico. Opportunities. There are opportunities to tackle this problem with these findings to create an honesty culture at academic level at CETYS. The follow-up actions of CETYS are to raise awareness by updating its policies, fostering academic honesty culture among students, updating not only the policies, but also training faculty. In conclusion, academic integrity is a challenge at CETYS universities, but libraries are taking actions as a follow-up to create an honesty culture. Thank you for your attention, and I'll be glad to respond to any questions or suggestions that you may have to tackle this problem.